Shall we start?
Yes,
Yes.
we shall.
Good. Where do we start? Do we start with the umpiring because that's going to be the most
Oh,
interesting
look, I've thought
aspect?
about that over the last 24 hours since the game, and although the umpiring was horrible and there were many bad decisions, I've never been a person that blames umpiring for a result because I still think that a team, still misses opportunities or whatnot. But I'd love to hear your view.
Oh, I'm the same. I refuse. I refuse to blame umpires. I think I watched a little bit of the replay on the way home, and the Petrarca one. There was both in our forward line. There was a Petrarca holding the ball where the umpire said no prior, and I probably agree.
Mm. Yep.
It borderline, like I'm okay as long as that's consistent, and I think that's the biggest issue. The Harms one in the last quarter, he had prior, he got tackled, he didn't get rid of the ball. That's a free kick. But there are 10,
Oh,
20,
yeah.
30 free kicks in a game of football that are missed. So,
The one
um,
that there was some in the last quarter that really frustrated me. There was one where Cox went to ruck and Viney bumped him out of the way, like because Viney didn't realise that he was rucking and bumped Cox, like bodied him, and Cox didn't get to compete in the ruck. And Viney even sort of threw his arms up and say, "Oops," it's like as if say, "Oops," it doesn't. And the umpire didn't call it. And there was another one where Ridley was taking a mark on the wing, and the Melbourne player came in and basically tackled him as he was trying to mark it. Which is front on contact. If that he's a forward standing there in front of the goals, that's front on contact all day.
yeah,
But they didn't call it. They were the ones that frustrated me more because they weren't 50-50s. They were
yeah,
clear mistakes. I can get through the, what's holding the ball, what's that, because I can understand the umpire's looking, he's seeing it from a different angle and his interpretation, but these are clear. If you touch a player rucking, that's a free kick.
yeah.
That's,
You can't block out the ruckman.
can't
I
block out
I
the ruckman.
don't remember seeing that one, but it's a different view
Yep.
on the game when you're at the game. Um,
Mm.
Rutten after the game had a watch of his presser. It's a tough game to umpire. We look at those moments in the same way we look at the things we could improve on. So no different to what they
Mm.
look at from the team point of view.
Yep.
Don't think it was the reason we lost the game. He's not going to go and talk to the AFL about it, but did say players and coaches will adapt as long as there is consistency with interpretation. So that's
Yep.
interesting because that's a dig at the holding the balls and to say let's clear it up. We will adapt and deal with whatever you say holding the ball is, but let's have a clear interpretation. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
I agree.
interesting. I thought that was
I
interesting.
agree. I agree, and I think that like anything, the teams coach their players to the new rules. Like we've coached players how they come in from a bump and all that sort of stuff. You can see how that's changed. There was a clash in one of the games, not the Essendon game, where they both came in and they just basically bodied each other, turned sideways, bodied each other, and went to pick up the ball. You can see how that's a change in the of how they've been coached to go in when there's two players. So
And even
that happens. Yeah.
even Draper last week with the front on the shirt front Shepherd.
Yep.
Don't
He was
don't sink the shoulder. You're not going to hit a guy in the head.
It was almost a basketball block what he went with.
Yeah, you adapt to
Mm.
whatever the AFL are telling us, but just be clear.
Yeah, exactly. And from that too, I think that like you as a team, you go back in anything, you'll go back and you'll coach where you think your weaknesses were. And if you feel as though you're doing something wrong in the interpretation of an umpiring decision, then you'll try and coach for that. But I think some of those decisions on the weekend were just things that you can't coach for. Like they were just randoms. Even the double 50, the first 50 is when what Dev Smith did was stupid, but he was angry because the first 50 was not there because Perkins had run to the mark. He has to get to the. He'd come around like he'd not gone directly. He hadn't cut across the guy. He'd
Yeah,
gone around him to get to the mark. He has to get to the mark.
and not only that, he came around on the side of the
Yep,
ground where there was about a metre between him and the boundary. So I think it
exactly.
was
So he's done
Brayshaw.
nothing wrong.
He's
Yep,
never going to kick the ball that way or move that way, and
and he's come with his arms up as if to say, "I'm coming around to get on the mark." Like
that that
watch
almost
me. Yeah,
dobs you in. though.
It does, but he's trying to just say, I have to get to the mark. Otherwise, what
Yeah,
do I do?
I don't know what else a player's meant to do there. And if you come on the inside where Brayshaw, I think it was Brayshaw, might turn and run,
Yeah.
okay.
Mm.
But to go on the side of the ground where the
wing
player's
side,
just
yeah.
never going to turn and go that direction,
Yep.
it was silly.
Yeah, so I don't agree with Dev Smith, but
No.
I understand why he was verbalising his frustration because that shouldn't be a 50 in the first place.
Rutten talked about that too, saying Dev's learning. Sounded a bit like Woosha, but I think he just needs to shut up and get on with his game. And he can be a little rat and get on people's nerves, but you shouldn't be giving away 50s. You should be winning free kicks because you're a little rat, not giving them away.
Yep. There was one point which you wouldn't have heard during the broadcast where the umpire, through the umpire's mic, you could hear him say to Devon, stop talking to me, or stop, stop hassling me or something like that.
Shut up, Devon.
Shut up, basically. He was like, just shut up. I'm trying to umpire the game.
Yeah. Because I think that gets you nowhere. Umpires have never changed their mind.
It doesn't. It's exactly. Umpires never go, oh, sorry, I see I've got that wrong.
Yeah, actually, I'll just
What
ball
was
it
I
up.
thinking?
I'll just ball it up, boys. Don't worry.
No, I'll give it back to you. What was I thinking?
Yeah, we'll reverse that because you're actually right.
Yeah. Never in the history of football has that ever happened, has it?
Never, ever, ever. I was going to do a bit more research, but I didn't, so we won't talk about that.
So should we just go through positives and negatives?
Well, I mean, we'll wing it. I had a look at
Sam.
I know. I had a look at a few stats.
Yep.
Feeling at the game is different from feeling on TV. So
of course, yep.
My interpretation might be a little bit different to yours because you watched it on the telly.
I felt it'd be interesting to see our views. Yeah.
I felt we overhandled, especially first half, first quarter. We overhandled and kicked to handball ratio. Demons 1.4, nearly 1.5, and we were 1.06. So we're pretty much 1 for 1, and they're going 1.5 kicks to a handball. Overpossessed, well and truly overpossessed, and it got us in trouble because we kept handballing to our teammates' feet or on the half volley. The handballs weren't clean, and if they were clean, they were probably okay. But they weren't. They were always to feet or to ground, and it just kills your teammate.
I felt that was partly because too that the Demons, especially in that first quarter and part of the second quarter, the Demons and us defended really, really well. Like, again, I'd be interested in your view from the on ground, but it looked like we just had no options. We knew we didn't want to kick the ball long down the wing or straight, because of May and Lever. So we knew that was, we were looking to go inside. There were no options. So they'd try and get something else generated. And it took something like a stringer, freaky sort of,
Yeah. And I get frustrated with people around me who whinge about the going back inside to side kicks. What I like seeing from the team is at least looking. They're looking to go inside. They're not it's not meaningless possessions. It's trying to make something happen
100%.
down the middle of the ground. And Stringer had 2 shots at goal within 5 minutes of each other.
Yep.
One went through, one was touched. That's what they're trying to generate. I have no problem with that. And against Melbourne, they are the best team in the comp, so they're going to defend the ground well. Gawn said after the game about making the MCG small. So they defend the ground really well. That's their whole plan. So I have no issues, but you've got to be good with your disposal. You can't let the ball hit the ground because again, you're playing the best team in the comp. They're going to kill you.
And I think the flow on of that was probably in the third and fourth quarter. Maybe I didn't notice as much in the first and second. Was that I felt that we weren't leading up at the ball kicker or carrier, or whatever you want to call it, enough. Like there weren't enough leads that were trying to drag May or Lever or any defender up towards. So we were opening a space. We just would stand there. All the forwards would almost put their hand up and just kick it to me, kick it to me. And I was go, fuck it, someone lead at them.
We'll get to our forward line. I was frustrated that we kept kicking it to Gawn. Like, I get that's where our tall players are, but if you've got Draper and maybe Peter Wright, maybe we can just steer clear of Gawn because he is taller, stronger, or maybe not taller than Draper. He's stronger than Draper.
He's a great pack mark. Like
he's going to take grabs. Yeah, like can we maybe just try something else?
But I personally think the problem with that was because they had no other option. The umpire would call play on, so they have to kick it. They didn't want to go
Still not.
sideways because if you turn it sideways and turn it over, you can look like a dick.
Still not kick it to Gorn every time.
It's just good defense. Melbourne have defended
Yes.
really well
Yes.
this year. We've got to respect who we're playing, and they're a team that has probably been the best defending team this year. Again, stats might, I don't know what their ladder, sort of numbers are for that for and against, but I reckon they'd be pretty high.
Of all the research I did, I didn't look at the ladder. Points against 927. Only the Dogs are better with 916.
Yeah, so they're the second best defending team.
There's only 5 teams still under 1,000 too. So.
And on that, I would take that us keeping them to the score that we did, I
think
keeping...
That was... I was going to say, that was a little bit like what Hawthorn did to us last week. We probably played the game in the way we had to play to keep it close. And it was a little bit scrappy and a little bit crap to watch in parts. But if it was high scoring, we were never a chance.
Yeah, but to still keep them to 68 points, whatever it was.
Yeah.
I still think that's... I know that someone might say, but they kicked 12 points, whatever. Still,
yeah, they missed a few.
It is what it is. I can't help that they miss.
Sorry. On that forward line. So, well, not forward line and midfield. I felt like we got smashed in the centre. We didn't. Centre clearances were 9 apiece, and around the ground we were actually on top. We won 27-23.
Yep.
The difference was, and this has bugged me for a little bit, and I've struggled with the words to explain it, but when Melbourne got the ball out, all our players flood ball side. So if Melbourne have got the ball out one side of the contest, all our players go that way. And then all Melbourne have to do, and I think Richmond probably got us on that as well, is handball back the other direction, and they've got 3 players there all queued up.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's a structure thing deliberately that we try to overload the ball carrier and tackle and lock it in. Fair enough if it is, but you still got to have your players manning up out the back of the stoppage because they got easy ball.
Yep.
And when we got easy ball, especially out of the centre, we kicked it straight to a Melbourne player. They must have taken 4 or 5 intercept marks off those 9 centre clearances. Which was...
Well, it felt like our forwards every time were either behind a long way or a long way in front to where the ball was being kicked. They never seemed to be wherever the ball was being kicked. Like it was...
Yeah, and that's... I don't know if that's them or the mids just bombing it. And it's a lottery. Where the ball lands is where the ball lands. But intercept marks, Lever had 5, May had 4. So, and our best was 3.
Well, marks in general in forwards was horrible. Like,
well, our marks inside 50, I had there. Melbourne took 14, we took 8, and a lot of those 14 for Melbourne were our mids dropping off and giving Petrarca that cheap little kick 15 metres back to Harms or to Fritsch or Brayshaw, whoever it was. A couple of times that happened where Melbourne just had a free player sitting at 40 out away from the stoppage, away from the ball.
But we had, like, Hooker took 3 marks, Wright took 3, and Harrison Jones took 1.
Yeah, Harry.
They weren't up the ground, like they weren't up at the 50. Like there was never. They didn't seem to even be getting up to the wing or somewhere and taking marks. To try and drag their player out of that contest. They just seemed to all want to sit in the goal square and expect the ball to be kicked into them. Like no one was up the ground trying to drag a player out.
Yeah. What was encouraging out of the middle, Oliver got 3 clearances, and I felt like he killed us. But Stringer had 3 centre clearances as well.
I thought Stringer was very good.
He had a good game. He could have had a great game if he could have had a set shot in the last quarter that was pretty easy.
Yep. Missed it. Yep.
He did something too. That first shot at goal he had that was touched, we did 4 or 5 times where we kicked it to a metre out and Melbourne just nice easy punch over the goal line. There was once where Harry got that lucky, fluky, skillful, whatever you want to call it, goal.
And that one was interesting because he had a beautiful option of Hooker, because Hooker's man, whoever that was, had Lever or whichever one it was, had charged at Stringer to try and affect that contest. Hooker was left by himself. Like he could have nearly handballed or just chipped over that and given it to Hooker.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was lucky that Harry was there and did what he did. Otherwise, that really should have been a point.
Yeah. So Stringer kicked 1 goal 2 from 24 touches and 5 clearances. So that's a really good game.
That's a great game.
If it was 2-1, I'd be happier. Especially the set shot. There's no excuse for that. Like you, Jake Stringer, you can
Agreed.
do the miraculous, the mercurial, and then
And it was
you
in front. Like it was
fluff a set shot from 40 out. Yeah, on bugger all angle.
Yeah.
But it's good to see him have the tank to go in the middle again against a very, very, very good midfield. They were
I
insane.
agree. That's 2 weeks in a row. He's had 20 plus touches and kicked a goal or two. So
Yeah. And
I'd say that's. I don't. Again, you have to look at the stats on that. But it'd be a while since he's done that at our club.
yeah. And I reiterate, Melbourne's midfield are
Manville's
insane.
nothing wrong with Petrarca and Oliver and
Oliver was the one that did the damage against us.
we were also. I'd like to bring up too. You know I love Sammy Draper. You know we love Sammy
Yes,
Draper.
I love my boy Sammy.
But
yes.
he was touched.
That's fine because he was against the best in the competition. What annoyed me, and Jones was a bit the same, we got first hands to a lot of aerial balls and they couldn't hold on to the marks.
But the problem I had was that Draper had 10 hitouts. Peter Wright had 11.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, I love Draper, but for Peter Wright to get 11...
Yeah, Peter Wright shouldn't be outdoing you.
Peter Wright shouldn't be out... Peter Wright was... And that person might say, oh, but Peter Wright was up against Jackson. No, not Jackson.
Hey, Jackson. Yeah, Luke Jackson.
Yeah,
he's a very good footballer.
Good football player.
Yeah.
But still... It just doesn't look good. I don't know. I thought Draper... Look, I love his enthusiasm. He got pushed out of the contest. He just...
Yeah, a little bit
as
weak.
I've said, I hope he can play the rest of the year and start to build that body that we need him to have to be a 23 game a year ruckman who plays 80% ruck, and has a guy chops him out for 10 minutes.
This week will be interesting for Draper because Geelong don't really have a recognised ruckman. So
well, if they play, what's his name?
Big Love. I can't say his name.
No, it's not Blitzkavs. It's
Radigalia. Yep.
Radigalia, yeah. If
Still
they
not
play him,
a recognised ruckman.
No, not a recognised
really.
one, but they're the ruckman they want to have because of his mobility. Then Draper would probably go well against him because Draper will be how to outmuscle him. Draper's fairly good around the ground.
He's not too bad. Yeah, he gets around the ground all right.
The problem is if they then throw Blitzkavs at him, Blitzkavs is going to just run him out to the ground. But we could throw Cox back at him.
Yeah.
Because we threw Cox in the last quarter, which I thought was really interesting.
I'm not a fan.
They were looking for something different. Oh, they were just looking. I think at that stage they were looking for something. They were trying to expose Max's, running capabilities late in the game.
Still,
Cox who can run. Well, I understand what.
If you've got Draper getting 11 hitouts against Gawn, what friggin' hope does Nick Cox? He's 200 centimetres short, but he's not a lot of muscle.
Yeah, but the dream there, not the dream. The idea there is that the Cox can get the ball on the ground and somehow influence the game. He didn't, but I understand that.
Against a lesser ruckman, perhaps, but Maxi Gawn's a big ask. Anyway, back on forward line, because that's our big conversation. I thought it was interesting. May had 7 spoils, Lever 5, and Petty 4. Now, I don't know a lot about Petty, but he was obviously playing in the defence and played well. Our best in terms of spoils was Draper with 7, and then Hepper with 3. So, either...
I would argue that the problem with that is every time we seemed to spoil, it was a free kick against.
Maybe a little bit, but we also...
Every time we went to spoil, the umpire gave a high. I'm like, how the fuck's that high, mate? It's not high.
Language. It's a family show.
Sorry, kids.
It also... probably says a little bit that Melbourne were able to hit up targets in going inside 50 because they had more marks inside 50. They didn't take a lot of contested marks inside 50. They were able to hit targets.
Really well. I thought.
Hang on. We'll get to that. I want to talk about our forward line because there's a bit to talk about.
How are we talking about our forward line? Talking about spoils? It's confusing me.
Comparing what Melbourne were able to do in our forward line versus what we were able to do in
what they were doing in their forward line and ours forward line.
Yeah.
I'd say that this is why they're the number 1 team and we're the number 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say
like a guy like Spargo, who I don't overly rate, but he just what he did was he did his job, and the guys down our other end, the Tip and Woodies and the Smiths and those sort of guys, did not do their job.
Tipper was disappointing.
There was a point there where Langford. It was late in the last quarter, and what's his name, Hunter, for them. I think it was Hunter. He was playing on Tip and Woody. Had the headband. The guy.
Oh, Jaden Hunt.
Yeah. He'd snuck down in the forward line. Tip and Woody was standing there with a limp, He was just sort of wandering around with a bit of a limp. And that Hunt got a bit further, about 60 out, and they kicked it to him. And Langford's like, fucking, he's your man, get to him. I've gone and stand on that. And then that's when Hunt sort of stepped around him. I think Langford was still giving a bit of abuse to Tippin. What are you saying? He's your fucking man, mate. Why? Oh, shit, it's played on. You had to chase after him and look silly.
Language.
Sorry. But that's when I felt that, like, Tippin Woody, look, mate, you've got all the enthusiasm in the world up the other end. You've got to bring it to this end too. Like, you can't just give him 20 metres of space and not expect them to kick it to him.
Yeah, and if you're not kicking your 2 or 3 goals in a game, you've got to get a few tackles or something.
Be defensive
to the game, because what did you have out of interest in tackles? He had 5. It's not horrible. I didn't notice him though. I did not notice him one little bit.
He just wasn't very good. No.
The reason I'm harping on about our forward line is because I asked the good people of Glory and Fame Facebook page what we should talk about, and there's a lot. There's a lot. I asked them not to talk about the umpiring because that's an easy route. And there's a lot of forward 50. So I'm just going to look through. This was a good one. Matt Craws. Don't know if that's a real name, but anyway. Why do we always get beaten by what we already know going into the game? Let's bomb it to Lever and May all night. I don't think we did it all night. I think in the second quarter when we were on top, we did it, and we lost our ability, our ability to score whilst we were on top. We didn't do it in the first quarter. We were smarter, but then
very good in the first quarter.
The slower ball movement, we didn't look like scoring. So
no, but that's the patience game. I think that we lost. Is that I think you have to have that patience game and just keep playing that game, and if you see an option, take it, but just keep playing the patience game. But go on.
Yeah, and I know I said earlier they were looking into the middle. They were trying to do what they've been taught to do, but again, remember your opposition. A few comments on Hooker being possibly on his last legs, maybe a bit done. I thought he could have played a far more selfless game and really, really, really tried to drag May away from the ball, because he had May all night. All night.
Nice if he played a selfless game, because it didn't look like he played a selfless
game. I understand. Way back when I was a centre half forward, I loved to snag. Hooksy loves to snag. I get it. But when when you're playing the top team and you've got May and Lever who are so obviously good at that part of the game, I didn't notice Lever a whole lot until maybe the second half and last quarter. But Hooksy, lead. If you lead towards the ball carrier and then they kick it over your head and it goes to Wright or Jones in the goal square against lesser opposition or lesser opponents, they might not take the mark, but it's sure as hell better than May taking the mark.
And I don't know what was said as coaches to him. Like, you've got to be more, like, he wasn't very defensive as a forward. Like, he didn't play smart football. And I don't know if the coaches were trying to tell him that, or I don't know if the message wasn't getting through or whatever, but it was disappointing because, as the comment is, that we were outsmarted by things we already knew. We knew how to play them. And on that, I'm hoping that we've learnt a little bit from the game, because Geelong are going to do the exact same thing to us on Friday night.
And Geelong are no bloody easier, especially down at Geelong.
They've got Stewart and what's his name, Henry and Henderson, and those guys are going to do exactly. They're going to sit off their forwards and wait for those marks.
And it's going to be Hooker against Stewart. So,
or I wonder about that.
Maybe
last week, because of last week's choice. Go on.
We'll get to the previews. So, Truck, if you're listening, Hooksy decoy, please. I don't think he will be either, but just in case. Just in case, you might be interested in.
Hey, Truck, I hear there's a really popular podcast on.
Real popular.
7 people have listened to it.
7. Hey, it's better than that. Maybe not by much, but it's better than that.
Do you count your mum?
Listen's a listen. Hey, views are views. I'm talking about forward line. Forward line not finding the right balance. I think Harry and 7-seater Peter. I'm loving all these nicknames for Peter Wright. 7-seater Peter. I haven't heard that one.
I like that one.
That's quite good. have been outstanding. All the talk about Hooksy being finished is unfair. Gets the best defender every week and has kicked the most goals.
On that too, I want to say Hooker's allowed to play a bad game.
I think
he's allowed. Everyone's allowed to play a bad game.
I think it's
It's
bad
how he
game on
responds.
bad game on bad game. I think he's had 2 or 3 in a row, maybe now. The Hawthorn game, he was pretty non-existent, and
Yeah, fair enough. Well,
maybe the
then
Richmond game.
I'll be watching really closely against Geelong because it's a big game for a tall forward. It's a
Good
really
luck.
important game.
Good luck, Hooksy. It's Geelong.
Because if you saw, I watched the Brisbane game, and their guys like Hipwood and his name who should not be spoken, both were influential in how they exposed the Geelong defenders. Especially, I would argue that the motorbike Charlie, he was the way he played Stewart was really interesting. So I wondered if Geelong go on that same tactic, I wondered if they'd put Stewart on someone like Waterman, because he's, no offense, a bit of a weaker forward that they might think that Stewart can sort of float off. I know there's a massive height difference in that, but I would have thought the same with Charlie Cameron, to be honest. Anyway, just interesting.
Yeah. I think that's enough on our forward line. I don't see a lot of issues because, yes, we're getting beaten by what we already know, but I think to a point we didn't have a lot of options because at some
We don't
point,
have anyone else we can bring in.
at some point you've got to kick the ball inside your forward line. And sure, maybe Hooker could have done this, could have done that, but you don't know Melbourne's setup. So if Hooker had led away from the pack, it's quite possible another defender follows him.
Oh, possibly.
And May
So you
stays
still do it.
in the contest. Yeah, I mean, it's worth a go.
Maybe they kick the ball to Hooker then because he's got a weak forward on him.
Well, that's right. But
And it only happened in the last quarter where he led at the ball. There was a point where he led at the ball, and I think it was Merritt kicked it to him.
it's a
And he
lovely
marked it,
kick.
and he went. "See what happens when
the
you leave it?"
the entire crowd groaned because we thought we kicked it straight to a Melbourne player, and it was the most inch perfect kick I've ever seen. It was beautiful.
Merritt was on some fire. He had
26 or 20, yeah.
And after he had 10 touches, I reckon, in the first 10 minutes. Like he was just
Him and Hep were on fire. Speaking of Heppel, that was a great segue. 26 touches at 100%.
That's what we do when you're experienced podcasters like us.
At 100%. 100% efficiency with 26 touches. That's phenomenal.
I couldn't say a bad word about against our back six. They were awesome.
We'll get to that shortly. Ridley was also 28 touches at 90.
Aren't we on them now?
We are. I said shortly. I wasn't kidding.
It's really short.
Can't fault them. I think the frustrating bits about our defence was our midfielders dropping off and letting Harms and all those guys take marks.
Yep.
45 out. Petrarca did it. Harms did it.
Yep.
On Petrarca, right. I've watched him a lot because of fantasy football.
Got him in your fantasy team.
And I know I've grown to really like his game of football.
Mm.
He kicked 2 goals. Fair enough. He was quite good. Yeah. Kicked his first goal and did the celebration to the crowd where I can't hear you. Like, how good am I?
Into the wave.
It's like, bud, you're first and you're playing 10th. All right? Rein it in. Save that.
Favourite player, Sammy.
Well, he's not my favourite because he plays for Melbourne. Save that for finals. Again, Christian, if you're listening, just save it.
Yeah, Truck sent him a message.
Yeah.
Say, hey, there's
this bloke. Yeah. Rein it in. Pull your head in. Very good player, but don't be.
I don't know. He can do whatever he wants if you ask me.
Yeah, look, if I was that good. Back six. BCT. I thought
he's still a liability, but
there was a moment in the first half. I don't remember what quarter. It must have been the first quarter where he charged the ball, took the ball, and ran away. It was beautiful. Just attack on the footy and really attacked it. And then in the second quarter, he handballed it to our guy
Langford?
and tried to just like put it through his chest, and then they kicked a goal, and then they went back into the middle and then cleared it and kicked another goal.
He went to handball it to Langford and he missed by about 87 metres.
Yes,
and Langford's chasing after the ball, and the Melbourne guys going, "Oh, this is nice and easy."
Yeah, and they kicked a goal, and then it went back to the middle. They got the quick clearance and kicked another goal. So it killed.
He just looks nervous. He looks like a guy who's still playing his first game.
Yeah. Now, out of boredom, I was there at about 20 to 6.
You don't have a life.
Because I don't have a life. I travelled 3.5 hours to get there, and I got there early. Fight me. Zach Thatcher had nothing. In the pre-warm up, like the one before the real warm up,
Mm.
he was just taking set shots at goal from about 35 out all around. So he was going on the angle, straight in front, 45, like he was moving around the 50.
Yep.
He missed one. And that was
So you're saying he's a forward?
when he was on the fence. He tried to do a drop punt where his run started on the fence. So I'll forgive him for missing that one. He took one from the boundary line and kicked a drop punt straight through the middle.
So him at hooker, good swap.
Now, I'm not saying he should be a forward based on that because there's no pressure. I've never seen the man play forward, but his set shot was really nice, really simple. I thought he was going to play forward, and I'm so sad that he didn't because he was so nice to watch kicking at goal.
Anyway, now that you've had your little thing about Zerk Thatcher, can we get on to the other 5 or 6 players that played down there?
We can. Is there a lot to say? They were great. McDonald didn't have a sniff the whole game until one of the Melbourne players nearly killed Nick Hind on the goal post. Or point post. I think that's the best thing you can say about your defenders. I didn't notice them. I didn't think they were...
I think you should say more than that. I thought, again, guys, I guess we've talked about Heppel and how good and how I think that this move to the half back line has been so good for him, and I think that it gives him a whole another level of a player, because he can handle that in close, tight football because of his experience being a midfielder. His kicking is improving. He's courageous. He kicked a goal, which was team lifting. But it's guys for me like Stewart and Laverde, I think we'd all agree we didn't know where he was at the club. He's done another game. He's played another game where we thought, well, he's a halfback flanker or fullback or whatever position he's playing. But for the next 10 years, like that's his spot. Done.
I really thought he was gone
Hmm.
off the list. Again, not all your players have to be brilliant to win a premiership.
No, definitely not.
And he's a workman. He works his heart out. He's tough. He'll go the ball.
He's a hard cat. Like he does not like to lose contests.
Yep.
He's got a bit of CUNT in him. He's got good skills. He kicks the ball well. He's a good overhead mark. He's strong.
But
he ticks a lot of boxes.
Just good attack on the ball.
Mm.
Doesn't seem to be worried about his man, which is probably something you pick up as a forward. You see ball, get ball, which can be a downfall. You've still got to know when to punch and when not to go for marks as a defender. But he hasn't really flown for a mark and been made to look silly.
Nope.
Love him.
And then Stewart, I'd go on to Stewart too to say, look, for a guy who he played a few games and got injured, missed 6 weeks with a hamstring, I want to say, calf or something like that.
Yep.
Something muscly related.
Mm-hmm. Soft tissue.
Then he's come back, and seriously, he as a tall, key defender is doing a great job. I think
they're very similar in that they both just workmen. They both wear black boots. Nothing fancy. Just play footy.
Yep.
And I love it. I think they will still get exposed at various points because they're not overly experienced.
The more they all
defenders.
start to play together, that 6 of when you throw in Hind, how well he's playing, Redmond and Ridley, who they made the comment last night in the game. He's played, I think they said 37 games of football, and that really, I hadn't thought about that because he just seems to be like one of those experiences that's been there forever.
He won the best and fairest with like 23 games.
That is so amazing that he's played 37 games of football.
And
give him another 150. Where's he going to be?
Yeah, we've lived through. No disrespect, we've lived through Cale Hooker kicking out of our back line. Wasn't a fun experience. He picks up the ball, really picks up the ball, and it's like, yep, no worries.
Oh, he's just so calm. He's
a guy 2 meters away.
I would say it's Pendlebury-like the way he reacts to oncoming traffic. Like he just calms down, slows down, steps around him, boom,
and
here's
hits
the target. There's my option.
And again, like of all the things you want from your defenders,
Probably
if you
played
can
basketball as a kid,
if you can hit a target, leaving your D50, huge win.
Oh yeah. So and then if you think about that, I don't know how old Stewart is.
I'll Google.
How old is Stewart? Because you think I know Laverde would only be same age as Parrish. He was in the same draft as Parrish, wasn't he? So he's
Nah, he was a few
24.
years before Das.
Oh, was he? That'd be 24, 25-year-old kids. Hind is 26.
Jimmy Stew is 27,
Hmm.
and Jaden Leverde is 25.
So
And
there's a good
Ridley,
five.
sorry, Ridley's
Yeah,
22.
yeah.
Just
So
saying.
there's a good 5, 6 years of football in
Well,
them.
that's right, and that's what we talk about. Like, we're not expecting to win a premiership this year or to win a
That's
final
right.
or anything this year, but we're thinking
We're think
4 years time.
well, we're thinking, can we be a team?
Where can we be?
Well, we're thinking, can we be a team that not builds a dynasty or dynasty? That can we be a good team? And you have to be for 4 or 5 years. And if you get the right run of injuries, the right run of all that sort of stuff, you can be at the top, having a go at it.
Yep. Honestly, I don't care if it's a dynasty or not. I'll take one flag. That's fine.
We all would take a flag, but
I'll
but
take I'll
you've
take
got to
four.
have.
Don't get me wrong. But,
Yeah.
um,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, like Redmond and guys like that, Redmond, Ridley, and then I guess Francis, who's missed a few weeks with personal issues. He's that obvious replacement for Zerk Thatcher. We don't know where Reed's at. I mean, I have high expectations of him. He's another good young defender. So I really and look, I think we all know that premierships come out of defence. Like if you build a team that doesn't get scored against,
Well,
that's where flags come from.
Truck knows that. And
Yeah.
that's what the good thing is. We are building our defence, but we're still able to score. I think,
Yep.
I don't know if it was Worcestershire where we've been trying to focus on our defence.
Shah.
We can't kick goals. We can't score going the other way.
No.
I think we've still been able to, not all the time, but most of the time we're able to score while we're on top, but keep oppositions to reasonably low scores. We've had a couple of blowouts, but
Yeah.
Richmond, Port Adelaide, Brisbane,
Yep, that's
and
fine.
that Richmond one was so undeserved.
But it's like what we've seen in previously when we were this aggressive rebounding Sard playing, Irishman. That doesn't get you anywhere. That it looks great. It's awesome to watch, but in the long run, flags are not built on that style
Not
of
built on
football.
that.
That's
I
and
think
that's what we think of the Carlton. I'm still curious to see what Carlton's going down the path, but anyway, that's another.
I think Carlton, Sard and Hind are similar players. I think Hind's a little bit more workman, and he played on Kasai Pickett, and Pickett didn't have an influence on the scoreboard.
I thought Redmond played on him actually when I looked.
Okay. I remember one time I remember thinking about it, and Hind was on him, so whatever.
No, I saw the Red Dog running around with him, but anyway.
Either way, it's quite good. They've got defensive aspects to the game. I'm not sure Sard had that, and I think Hind had a dirty night. He was pretty fumbly, and
But I think Melbourne put effort into him.
he gives me
He played well the week before.
yeah, he gives me the same sort of vibes Connor McKenna gave me, where I got no idea what's coming next. But he's got far more defensive attributes. But as well as that, our back six is far more stable and far more solid than when we've got Sard and McKenna, which is what we've had in the past, who are so attacking off half back. You leave yourself open to be scored against. If Hind goes for a run, if Redmond goes for a run, I'll be very surprised if the other one's not back. Like the structures are a lot better.
I would say on that too that I think the difference is that the guys that now in the back six use their attacking by using their feet, in that they kick the ball to those options that are in the centre. Like Stewart and Verde both kick the ball well and are happy, and Francis is another one, happy to have a go at that kick that can really set the game up. It doesn't have to be a run and carry. It can be the kick to the right guy who's Merritt or Parrish who's sitting in the midfield, and then boom, we're out. On the other side.
That's exactly what they're trying to do, and that's exactly why we need to have patience with that side-to-side ball movement and going back and just keep. There's nothing wrong with keeping the ball. No problem with keeping the ball aside from that, but that's what they're looking to do. And AFL website, go and watch the 10. Daniel Rich had a kick right at the end of the first quarter against Geelong. Phenomenal.
Geez, he's good.
If you can make that kick, you are so dangerous.
We split teams. You just hurt teams all day.
That's what we're going for. That's exactly what we're trying to do.
Shall we finish with a bit of a midfield chatty?
We can finish with the midfield chatty. I want to go through a few more comments because I like to get the people
Okay,
involved.
yeah.
We'll finish with the comments. Midfield. Again, at the game, different to on TV. I know we broke even on set of clearances, but Jesus Christ, their midfield is unbelievable.
I thought they'd shoot us apart, but it did. The stats showed that we were pretty close.
But
It's just I think that when we went forward, as you said, we seemed to kick it to their defender.
or we
whereas
just
when
weren't
they
able to
went-
bring the ball to ground.
Yeah, or when they, whereas, yeah, I agree. We kicked it to almost chest mark to their defender. Whereas when they went forward, they just seemed to hurt us a bit more. And I think that was part of it. And that could be a maturity, that could be a pressure thing, that could be, something along those lines where they're just a bit better than us at that.
Could also be a structure thing where I don't think the kicks, like if Das is running forward or Stringer's running forward, they're not really thinking about where that football's going. They're kicking it long because it's a quick, and that's what you want as a forward. You want quick ball movement into your forward line. So I got no issue with that, but maybe it's a structure thing for the forwards that they need to set up a bit differently, as much as you can do from a centre clearance.
Yeah.
I'm not sure, but so often they just blazed away. Lever took a couple of intercept marks directly from those centre clearances.
Yeah.
I think Petty or one of Melbourne's small defenders took a couple on Waterman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it's a structure thing or if we're just a little bit guilty of, holy crap, we've got the ball out of the guts, let's just bomb it forward.
Who was your BOG for the Bombers on the night?
It's hard to go past Merritt, really.
Fair enough. That's okay. Who was your WOG then?
Can't say the actual word. Zaharakis didn't get a stat, no.
Harsh.
Yeah,
See, there was something like 500 games between the two bench players with him and Jones.
Poor Jones. If Melbourne are going to win a flag, he deserves to be
I
there.
hope he plays. Yeah, I've always liked him as a player.
Yeah. I mean, to stick through Melbourne with what they went through, you deserve
Painful.
everything you get if you get rewarded.
Yep. Like Cochin, maybe he deserved it.
Less so. They weren't getting beaten by 100. We beat Melbourne by 150 points in 2013. Yeah.
WOG.
Worst on ground. I don't know. I don't want to specify one, so I'll say a couple to hopefully not get abused. I thought Cox was poor. I don't have any issues with that. He's allowed to have a couple of crap games. That's okay. I thought Hooker was disappointing just in the way he played the game. Jones was disappointing. He kicked 2 goals, so I can't really argue. But his marking really was average compared to last week. Waterman had a really good moment at the end of the first quarter where he won the ball back and we kicked a goal from it.
Yeah. Yep.
Other than that, it was a bit disappointing. Like I said, Tipper, he got 5 tackles. I guess I can't really be upset about that. But Ham missed a goal at a crucial moment from 20 out straight in front. Like, bud, you're on the fringe. You're a fringe player. You need to be kicking that goal.
Fringe or not fringe, you should have kicked that.
Yeah, but when you're fighting for your
how
spot.
about just to go to bad? That Jackson, back to that Luke Jackson.
Yes. Oh, the play on a dribble. Oh boy.
Oh god! I thought he may have had a seizure or something like that. I'm like,
yeah,
mate. I think the Essendon players were a bit like, okay, that's a pretty piss poor effort, mate.
Cheers, bud. Thanks for that. I think I'm not going to defend him. That was just piss poor. But I think he wasn't sure if it was going to be a mark, and I think he didn't really compute the fact the whistle had gone.
But even his little kick,
either that,
the distance, it was like.
Either that, or he's just a typical big guy where the brain and the feet are really far apart, and he's seen a little bit of space and gone, oh beauty.
I can't deal with that.
I can just roll around on the little dribble kick here. Yeah, that's probably mine. Your best on?
Oh, it was. Look, I really loved Merritt's game, and I really loved Langford's game. I thought Parrish did what he does.
He did what he does, yep.
Does what he did. Langford, we need to continue to see that sort of football from Langford. He's a really good player.
I will say, as a direct response to that, Langford had 9 turnovers, as did Parrish, to be fair. I mean, it's hard to really comment on them without knowing when they came in the game and how they
Yeah.
came. Because if you're getting a quick kick out of the guts and it's a turnover, it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
But I was surprised by that. I didn't think Langers was brilliant. I didn't think he was poor.
Yeah, fair enough.
And your worst on?
I thought it was Tip and Woody and Hawker for me. Probably Draper was third on that list, but Tip and Woody and Hooker are senior,
Mm.
players, and I thought they were just a bit useless.
And that is the knock on Waller. He's brilliant and he can do the miraculous, but he fades.
Well, sometimes you just want him to play a normal game, like where he can just get involved and do some things.
Kick a couple of goals and make some
Even
tackles.
be defensive. Get up the other end and do something defensive. I don't know, like just you don't have to always be this sneaking around everyone kicking goals. Just I guess that goes back to that the point I was making with that what's his name from Spargo from Melbourne. I thought he played a smart game. He got involved. He did some things. Made the most of his opportunities.
And I don't know if we've talked about it in the preview, but your bottom six players will tell you a lot.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying about Ham and all those guys compared to Spargo, who kicked 2 goals and did a bit. All right.
From a disposal perspective, it was Harrison Jones, Cox, Wright, Draper, Tip and Woody, and Hooker.
But not all those players need to be high possession getters.
No, you're right.
All right. Some comments. Brent Howden. Now that Merritt has signed, is there still talk of dropping the captaincy from Heppel to Merritt? I think Heps is a good captain, tough but unfair if he loses it. We're on the improve, and Heppel has been a good leader this year. I was only ever an advocate for Heppel handing over the captaincy if he kept getting injured. And that is to say, just focus on your body, mate, and get right and let someone else worry about leading the club. Given he's played the games he's played this year and given how he's going, absolutely not. He can be captain for as long as he's comfortable being the captain. He's a bloody good leader and a bloody good player.
He's a great bloke.
Good bloke. Good on you guys.
Great bloke. Great bloke. I don't understand this conversation because this is something that I don't really care for. The club and the players know these. I'm not at the club every day. I'm not around these guys. And I think that it's silly for us to think, who should be the captain? I'm not there. You don't know what it's internally like.
But we can still look at
He's still a very good player, and his role now is really important off the halfway thing. I understand he's been injured. Players are allowed to get injured. They're allowed to lose a bit of time. I have no problem with him. He's a very good player who has been through a pretty shit time at the club.
Yeah, that comes from probably what we as fans perceive as a lack of leadership on the ground for a couple of years.
Yeah, I understand that.
Possibly. Like I said, I don't.
All of a sudden, though, he looks like a good leader under Truck, whereas he looked like an ordinary leader under Water.
This is the thing. And aside from that, just because you're captain, or just because you're not the captain, doesn't mean you can't be a leader.
Yeah, exactly.
Hooker needs to be a leader in the forward line. Exactly. Merritt, Parrish, they're all leaders. If they're senior players...
Just because you don't have a C and you don't go flip the coin...
Doesn't mean you're not a leader.
Doesn't mean you don't speak up when something you're not happy about. You speak up.
Yep.
100%. Just let the club make that decision. That's fine.
Yeah. So we're comfortable with Heppel. I think that's a no-brainer at the moment.
It's not like it's Taranto or anything like that,
Sure.
Oh no, what's his name at GWS? Not Taranto. He's
Caniglio.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, move on.
Yeah. I'm just reading through the comments. There's a lot on the forward 50, which we've talked about. We don't need to...
Well, look, I think on the forward 50 thing, it'd be really interesting to see how we go Friday night.
There's a bit about Dev. A couple of comments on Devon Smith. What we make... I think I already mentioned it once a little bit. You can be the little rat. You can be the annoying getting under the Toby Green, if you like. But, I mean,
Thank you, Toby Green.
I'm not. I'm just saying Toby Green does it well because he's a rat and he kicks goals.
one of the better players in the competition,
Yes.
Toby Green. Yeah.
I'm saying if you're going to compare yourself
Yeah.
to the best rat in the game, it's probably Toby Green.
Yep.
Green. Can't be giving away 50s. Can't be giving away stupid free kicks.
Or at least if you are, tackle.
You can give away a free kick every now and then, but don't do it being a lippy little shit trying to get
4
under
tackles he had. 4 tackles for the game.
for a guy that broke the
14
AFL record
disposals.
a couple of years ago.
He's just.
He's not the player he was 2 years ago when he won the BNF.
I don't know why, and I don't know what. I don't know if it's a role change or whatever. He just needs to find a way to just want to win the footy.
Yep. And
That's right.
footy first, Dev.
I would say someone like Snelling would be, when he's fit, would take his spot.
Nearly, yeah. Snelling's a great little.
There's nothing. Snelling's a much more rounded player at the present,
and he's able to kick goals. He's able to make good decisions.
Yep.
And he's
he
strong.
He influences the contest in the midfield, and he does things. He's a good player.
Yeah.
Great player.
Someone, Bluey Wallace mentioned the handball Melbourne were doing all night over their head. Is it just me, or does anyone else think they're throwing the ball? They're not throwing the ball. There's a lot of that.
Called a throw if you.
There's a lot of that. I think that's a little bit self-serving for me to bring that up again. I think that goes back to my overload ball side theory, where we're not defensive enough out the back, and then Melbourne can just do that little, as you call it.
I think we push the players up too far, and that's the defense.
We chase the ball.
Yeah. And that can be great when we get it, but when we don't, you're right.
And they get that clean.
But is that learning the structure of the what we're trying to do, and they'll find that in a year or two, where that middle ground is?
Possibly. It does tie into a pet hate of mine, and that is not pinning the arms when we tackle. Don't just tackle for a stat. You tackle and pin the bloody arms, because so often.
Shoved into the ground too,
yeah. So often we just tackle around the hips, they get the arm up, and then they do that crappy little handball out the back, and that's where all their players are.
Oh, yeah.
Tackle with intent. I know you can't always, but tackle with intent.
I do, and I don't know if it's because I'm an Essendon supporter, I do feel as though that a lot of oppositions break our tackles easy. And I don't know if that's just because we're still young and small and a bit piss weak, and they're bigger and stronger, or
I think
it's just
with the younger players, you're going to have a bit of that. But when you got your
guys like Ham and Guelphy, when they tackle,
Guelph's all right. But when you've got your senior players of Parish and your big guys and experienced guys in the middle, you've got to be sticking 9 out of 10.
Merritt's a great tackler, a really good tackler. He has a go at like Ruckman and stuff. Like he will take anyone on.
Yeah. Another pet hate of mine that I discovered on last night, was appealing for free kicks. I can't stand Geelong for this. They do it more than any other team ever, including their coach, Chris, if you're listening.
Wow, we've got a big listener.
Yeah, I know. What bugged me more about Essendon, we're appealing for the free kick, and then the ball comes out.
Yeah.
It's like, guys, just get the stoppage first.
Yep.
And then we can talk to the umpire and say, hey, bud, why wasn't that a free kick? Don't stick your arms up and then all of a sudden Clayton Oliver's piss bolting forward with the ball. It's like, guys,
piss bolting.
Just, and that's a mental thing. Just pay attention.
Yep. Good point.
A few more on Dev. We need to talk about. Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about that one. We need to talk about the package, Paco, Jakey Boy.
Why do we need to talk about him?
String Dog.
We talked about him last week, didn't we?
Yeah. We talked about him tonight too.
You know what I was happy about is what we talked about last week was that he needs to do what he did.
And he did it again.
And he did it again. And that made me really happy. And then I'm going, well, he needs to do it again.
I think what this comment Mick is referring to is signing him. And what good culture, you get players probably a little bit cheaper on the sort of theory of success.
Yeah. Like Carlton.
I was disappointed they got a win.
I nearly texted you when Adelaide were 3 goals up. It could be happening, Sam.
I was watching the end of it, and I honestly, as devastated as I was last night with our loss when I knew Carlton were going to win. Are we I need to know a little bit more about Jake the Snake, actually,
What from a
just from an age point of view. He's 27, so I'm not. I'm not brilliant with free agency rules. I don't know if Stringer becomes a free agent at Essendon in any sort of reasonable time period, but he's got to be at least, what are we looking at, 2 or 3 years, take him through till he's 30?
Yeah.
And is he? Do we consider him to be an upper echelon player for us? So are we paying him?
Well, his last 2 weeks has, but he's a really important player, so, because he does do the things that other players can't
And
do.
he's passionate. I
He
love
is.
that.
You don't find players like him, like his frame, his size, his speed, his strength.
It takes a lot to come from a team where he won the flag with the Bulldogs,
Mm-hmm.
and
they
I
got
don't
that year.
think a lot of people remember him as a Dogs player. Like, he's an Essendon player.
Yeah, yeah,
He's our Jake.
yeah. We've got the jumpers to prove it.
Yeah, we do. I don't think he's leaving. I don't think that's an issue for us. It's what we throw at him.
But these are out of our hand,
Yeah, I know, but it's just a conversation. It's just a discussion. If we didn't
conversations I'm more passionate about than these.
if we didn't
these ones I just
if we didn't want to talk about stuff because we have no impact, we wouldn't be doing this thing at all.
Yeah, but I would say things that frustrate me because I watch it and that's clearly wrong or right. With this, how much Jake Stringer is worth, and if he stays, there are too many factors I can't control. Like Jake Stringer,
I think from a
if Melbourne or some other club come at him with $1 million a year, Jake Stringer is the sort of guy who will go for money. I'm pretty confident about saying that. He'd be the guy that walk for money.
I think he likes.
Jake, if you're listening,
yeah, Jake, that's my line. I think he likes $1 or two.
he likes to spend. I reckon he's the sort of guy who doesn't mind spending it or showing he has it.
And it was interesting last week. He got interviewed and mentioned, I've got 3 kids or how many kids, I need the dollars.
Got girls, got to pay for weddings, shit like that.
It's a bit backwards of you, but yep. I think the only conversation here is
You've got a daughter, you'll have to pay for a wedding at some stage, mate.
That's no, she's not even 2. Shut up. Are we? I think from a club point of view, we need to leave it a bit longer because if he keeps playing football, and from a Jake's point of view too, if he keeps playing football like that, he's adding value all the time.
Oh yeah.
If we get through the next month and he doesn't do that again, then we probably save ourselves a few quid.
Yeah, I wouldn't be talking to him until the end of the year. Talking to him during the year, but I wouldn't be making it official to the end of the year because I'm not paying him on 2 weeks and I'm not paying him on.
I think it's been really, really good. Like, I mean, this is going back a bit. Round 2, when we lost Draper, Shield, Caldwell, work out. Oh my God! Like, we thought this year was going to be tough, and now we've just lost half our senior players, just about. And then all of a sudden, you've got Parrish, shining light of this year, regardless of what happens.
Yep.
And then Pidge goes down, and then all of a sudden we go, holy crap! Stringer can actually be Dusty. Maybe Dustin Martin. Maybe Dustin Martin is Kmart Stringer.
Like, Dustin Martin's got the runs on the board. Stringer does not. But I like where you're going. But let's give it a few more Brownlows.
That is 100% a joke.
I know.
I'm aware. Dusty's, but he can play that style of game. He can have 25 plus and kick 3 or 4
100%.
goals.
He's the guy that can play a Dusty role.
Stiff arm. Love the stiff arm.
He can play the Dusty role. That's what I would say. Which, as we said, not many guys can do it.
Who am I looking at here? I'm looking.
Petrarca can do it. DeGoey wants to do it, but
if we're talking Kmart, DeGoey's off Wish at this point. I also think we need to. We've got
that ability to play that role. Like I didn't know it was such a role until a few years ago. But
well, Dusty made it. It's the Dusty role.
Yeah, that's true.
Until we can talk about the Stringer role, I guess Stringer is Kmart Dusty, but Kmart's still good.
About the Cox role one day.
Who
can play the Cox?
Who can be 200 centimeters and
who can play the? Tell you what, that Perkins. He's got
that Perkins. You're such an old man.
He's got a very good goose step on him.
Yeah, I like that.
He did something to one of those. He stepped to one of the Melbourne players and did this step, and they all just went the wrong way.
Yeah.
He cocked up the handball, but I went, he's going to make.
Yes, I know exactly what you're thinking about. That was on halfback. I love the awareness just to do that stuff.
Oh,
if you have the presence of mind to do that, you are next level. contracts. Darcy Parish is another one we need to be worrying about, probably a little bit more than
He's
Stringer.
not leaving the club, mate.
Right,
No way.
yeah, but just get them done.
Yeah, they've had a pretty good run, and I reckon they've been a bit focused on Merritt, trying to get that one all sorted. I bet you 5 weeks ago when they were talking to Merritt, they weren't really probably worried too much about Parrish. Then all of a sudden he goes on a hot streak, and they go, oh, "Shit, we better get inside."
And I think that's
and
the
now they're going,
difficult
"Well,
thing.
we better work out to better chat to Drakey too."
That's the difficult thing. We're given Merritt 6 years on the back of 5 years of good football. I don't. It's really hard to give a guy a contract, even in Parrish's case, on 2 months of good football.
Agree.
Because it's 2 months of good football and it's been brilliant, but then what?
Well, the argument there for and against could be something as obvious as that, but this is the first time he's been given the opportunity to play in the role, and look how well he's doing.
Absolutely.
So if you keep him in that role, he can keep doing it.
And this is the thing.
But
I think
also agree with your point that, you can't just give him a 6-year $1 million deal because of that either. But therefore, I guess the powers of the smarter ones to work out, aren't they?
Yeah. I think for all considered, players and the club, it makes sense to leave it longer. So the fact it doesn't get done during the season is not an issue at all.
I don't think so with Parrish.
And don't let the media think otherwise.
Oh, fuck the media. But for Parrish, I mean, he is what I feel like a very committed Essendon football player. Jake Stringer would be a little bit more. He could chase money, and that would be okay. But
I can't agree with that, given I said what I said before about him being so passionate about the team. And
I don't know. I never think anyone's going to leave, and then his name.
And then Joe does. Yeah.
His name, who's not shall be spoken.
We can talk about Joe. Joe Danaher should be thankful for Adam Sard, because all my hatred is directed towards that man, not Joe.
I can't. But Joe Dan, his father, his uncle, his other uncle.
Did I have
at our club?
Did I have a giggle?
A couple of them played at Sydney too. But
did I have a giggle when he got fined for staging? Yes.
Oh, it was a horrible. Did you? I told you about that. Yeah. You didn't see that game, was it? He has taken the biggest dive.
I've seen it since, and average.
Have you seen the little what's it called when they do that thing?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like what we used to do with rants.
Mm-hmm. And the music. I love the music in there.
Yeah. DJ Nath.
Is that an emoji? No, what are those things?
Oh my god, a GIF?
Yeah, I think it could be it. I don't know, I'm old.
Okay, boomer.
That's harsh. I don't have the financial situation of a boomer.
Okay. I mean, it's not really about money, it's about age, but yep.
Yeah, well, I'm going to go into it.
All right, probably wise.
Any other questions? Let's wrap this up. I'm going to have some more beer.
Okay, that is it for the Facebook. I think there's a lot of repetitive stuff on there.
Did you call it the Facebook?
The Facebook.
Isn't that an old person thing?
Yeah, I'm old. It's fine.
Yep. Okay,
27. Yeah, it's getting on.
27, so old, Sam. I mean, Jesus Christ, you got pubic hair 2 months ago.
It's a little bit much.
Seriously, 27 is not old, mate.
I know. There's a lot of comments, about the same thing about forward entries, about Dev. I love the discussion. So, if you did comment, thank you.
Thank you, people.
And thank you for the 247 people.
247
listened.
Money off that yet,
it's not about the money, Nathaniel.
Oh, I could work one less day, be nice.
Yeah, it's not golden rule of YouTube. Don't talk about the money.
Okay.
Anything else? Any final thoughts? Anything else?
Oh, we'll have another discussion before Friday night, probably Friday. But I am excited to play Geelong and see what we've learned, or if we haven't learned. That'd be also interesting against them, because I see them as a similar side but slower, so they won't be able to cut us apart in that half or forward half or midfield because they're slower.
Yeah.
Which I think will suit us, because I think we'll be able to split them. Like those kicks into the middle that we couldn't get off Melbourne, I think we'll be able to get away with them. Yeah, guys like Jake Stringer and Merritt and guys like that will, I think, have more of an influence. But
leave the preview for the preview. Any final comments on Saturday?
I'm just continually being proud of watching my club play, and I think that's a nice feeling as opposed to previous years. They're giving an effort. We're seeing effort every week, and that's great. I think we're all happy about that. The future will be the future, but we're all pretty happy about the effort.
That's incredibly well put.
Thank you, Sam. You can write that down.
It's fine. I got it recorded.
You young kids with your video.
With the Facebook, yeah. I have nothing else to add. I think I peaked with overloading ball side. That sounds probably far more intelligent than it actually was.
Who knows when you peaked?
I would like to see Zerk Thatcher play forward. That's about it.
No.
I know it's unlikely, but he's said you don't understand. If you were there and you were watching him warm up, back me up. It was lovely. All right.
Fair enough.
Call it.
All right, mate.
Good chat.